The Brew House was created to capture and share with you the long history of the Genesee Brewery, but the brewery itself isn't half as interesting as the beer and the people who make it. Visit GeneseeBrewHouse.com.
Welcome to the Rochester Press Box. I'm Tariq Spence filling in for Bill Pucko, and we are here at the Genesee Brew House, proud sponsor of the show. Pat Duffy, as always.
Great to see you guys. Fantastic.
Orange, are we getting ready for the big March Madness?
Well, first of all, it's blue. I don't know if something's wrong with your eyes. It's the blue alternate. Well, getting ready for the tournament, because, I mean, how much March Madness chance do you have? Unless you have the luck of Eric Devendorf, as I do today, getting ready to roll.
Okay. All right. Matt Trabold, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm also unintentionally wearing Syracuse colors as well.
Well, that's what Aquinas guys do. We match up.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Well, let's sort of start with 1 week ago today. I don't know if anybody was shocked, if anybody saw it. I know, Matt, you saw the fight, but it was Tyson Fury and, of course, Deontay Wilder. We might get a third matchup. Did you watch the first two?
I have not watched any Wilder Fury because, we'll tell you what, you saw the fight. I'm interested to hear what you have to say before I completely crap on heavyweight boxing right now.
I will say, I'm not sure, and I've watched boxing, more so MMA over the years, going to bars for fight nights. I don't think the walkouts have ever been, as a group, as a duo, as good as this. I mean, we're talking unbelievable, and right into it just makes the draw even better. Tyson Fury, yeah, I know he has it, but you look at the guy, he's lost a lot of weight, but he's still a bigger guy. And Deontay Wilder is cut. I was not expecting from the very first second to Wilder to be pummeled like that. I was very surprised.
Well, now we're looking at a third fight, but we're still dealing with the excuses of the second fight that had to do with the costume Wilder was wearing. 40 pounds. He said that made his legs weak. Was he prepared?
I believe that made his legs weak. I mean, I fought when I was in high school. Still kind of do it on the weekends, no big deal. But no, that will kill your legs, wearing 40 pounds into the ring. No, he wasn't prepared, and I don't get how you're not prepared for a fight like that. Listen, in his defense, you have a guy that's 270 or 3, he's over 300 pounds, right, Tyson Fury? Leaning on you the entire fight, that's going to zap your energy. But you have to be prepared for that, and that's why I despise heavyweight boxing right now. It's as simple as staying away from Tyson Fury, right? That right hand for Wilder can put anyone to sleep at any moment. You weren't able to uncork it because you allowed a man over 300 pounds at 6'7" to lean on you for 7 straight rounds. It's not a fight anymore. Excuse me. It's not a boxing match. It's a fight. I love boxing. Any match under heavyweight that's on television, I will stop and I will watch till it's over. I will not pay money to watch two guys, one of which only has a puncher's chance the entire time, stand in a ring and do what they did.
Listen, I'm kind of split on this between the two of you. Matt, you would see a third version of this. Remember, the first one was a draw, second one, Fury. Third one, can Wilder redeem himself?
I think he can. I mean, I don't love the excuse because he's come out in that diamond suit before. Now, I said like the batteries being part of it, adding some weight to it. But I don't know. I really want to see another one. I was worried like an hour after the fight that came out, oh, Anthony Joshua is going to fight him. There's graphics on Twitter. I'm like, no. I want to see a third one of these guys. You never know, especially with an athlete the caliber of Wilder. I think it's possible. No. I like the heavyweight. You're talking about not liking heavyweights. I like because Mayweather dances around too much. The little guys dance around too much. These guys just fight. They just throw hammers. And there's a lot more action, I think, in the heavyweights.
But that's not boxing. They threw hammers. Holyfield threw hammers, and Tyson threw hammers, right? Those guys threw hammers, but it was still a boxing match. And you say you don't want to see Joshua fight before Fury gets his third. No, that's how you build the heavyweight division again. You let another contender step in, make Fury defend his title, and then go back and give the other guy an opportunity. Or make Wilder fight Joshua for the opportunity to go back at Fury. That's how you build more names in it. Unfortunately, and it's been this way since the mid-90s, and again, it breaks my heart because I love boxing. They don't care about the division. They don't care about the up-and-coming contenders. They care about making money. So instead of turning these 3 fights into 10, which would make more boxers household names, they do the 3 fights, they collect their cash, and when these 2 guys are done, just like happened with the Klitschko's, you know nobody that is left in the heavyweight division.
We just mentioned 3 names, and that's all we know about heavyweight boxing. That's all we have to say about that. Coming up next here at the Genesee Brew House, we'll talk a little bit about the Buffalo Bills, the Combine, is it worth it, and What are they looking for? That's next on the Rochester Press Box, right here, Genny Brew House.
The Press Box is brought to you in part by Bay & Goodman Pizza, a local Rochester favorite. Corner of North Winton and Browncroft, Bay & Goodman Pizza.
Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box here at the Genny Brew House. All right, Buffalo Bills, they have a couple things to decide whether or not in free agency. Shaq Lawson, you got Jordan Phillips. They're one of the top 100 free agencies according to CBS. Are they going to get them? Are they going to lose one, keep both, whatever?
I don't think they're able to keep either of them. I think they're both in line for a big payday. Listen, the Bills did this to themselves with Shaq Lawson. Granted, I would not have signed on for the fifth-year option either the way that he was going. And you can make the argument, again, I've said it before, my fear is that both Shaq Lawson and Jordan Phillips perform well because they were in contract years. But you look at the franchise tag. The Bills announced on Tuesday they would not be franchise tagging anybody on the roster, which means Spain, Phillips, and Shaq Lawson can walk. You're looking at between $11 and $15 million a year potentially to keep Shaq Lawson and Jordan Phillips. With what you have on the roster, what you can find economically in the draft, I don't think they're worth either of them worth that money. Harrison Phillips is not as explosive as Jordan Phillips is, but he was making strides last year before he blew his knee out. You burned a third-round pick on him 2 years ago. I would rather give him the opportunity to grow than pay a guy that's had issues in the NFL in Jordan Phillips. And Shaq Lawson, same situation.
Very good defense for the Buffalo Bills. It seems like the Bills, though, are talking a lot of offense, Matt, when it comes to the combine, which I'm not quite sure if the combine is a true test of whether a player can play.
A lot of people say that. A lot of people say these are not game situations per se, even though they have the individual drills. I look at it like you guys have to look at Chris Johnson, Vernon Davis. Yes, you have the bust like Matt Jones, the quarterback out of Arkansas, who's trying to be a wide receiver, DeMarcus Van Dyke. A lot of people don't know in terms of if they turn into bust or not. Mm-hmm. But I think instead of overrating bust, you're not going to have a lot of that in comparison to just having guys get more exposure that deserve it, that are worthy of it. CJ2K, he becomes that because he has the combine. He runs such a good 40. And coming out of East Carolina, he needed that added exposure. I mean, Vernon Davis becomes one of the highest drafted ever tight ends because he's such a physical specimen. I think more so than not, it pans out, even though there's plenty of guys that are bust because of what they do in the combine.
I'm worried about the combine because we tend to focus a lot on this 40-yard dash. We tend to worry about whether or not Burrows has the right hand size for the football.
Well, I mean, he is only 9 inches. That's not.
Wait, I didn't even measure, so nor do I even care. But will it actually result in success on the field? I mean, we all saw Tom Brady's combine. He didn't look too great.
Some of his shirt off, not fantastic at all.
But then how many Super Bowls are we counting now?
True, but I mean, again, you can go down a whole. Listen, I'm with you on the fact that the measurables don't really matter. You look at a guy like Devin Singletary last season, right? The reason that he ends up where he does coming out of a small school was because of a poor 40-yard dash time. He was arguably the best rookie running back in the league last year based on the time that he played. No, I mean, this whole thing's a joke. They're all lottery tickets anyway. You have all of this film from every single one of these players. Then they go to these all-star college football games, the smaller school guys. You get to see them play against that. I don't know how much an intelligent general manager should allow his opinion to be swayed based on what he's seeing in Indianapolis. And it's like throwing a bunch of lottery tickets in the air, and the one that comes down the fastest is the one you want to take, right?
Matt, is a pro day a little bit better? It's just an organized workout with receivers that this quarterback or player has been around for the last couple of weeks.
I think the pro day is better. You're seeing it with a couple guys. KJ Hamler's not running till the pro day. Chase Young, who could be like a top 5 pick, he says he's not doing it until the Buckeyes pro day. What you're seeing is obviously lesser talent because it's only one school involved and because they're going up against or having drills with guys, like you said a second ago, their own receivers. They're going to be more helpful. It's just going to be guys looking out for each other. So I think the pro day, to a certain degree, is better.
We're at the Genny Brew House, proud sponsor of the Rochester Press Box. Like it or not is next.
Here's the Press Box trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Here's the Press Box Trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box here at the Genny Brew House. Like it or not is coming up next. Let's get in the Buffalo Sabres. Pat, okay, Wayne Simmonds says, a perfect opportunity for me to leave where I am to go to Buffalo.
Okay, so Wayne Simmonds, first of all, I was shocked that Wayne Simmonds was willing to waive his no-trade clause to come from New Jersey to Buffalo. Now, he's not the player at 31 that he was 4 years ago playing in Philly, even last year at the deadline playing in Nashville. But the fact that a veteran player with the Sabres, as we tape this, 6 points out of a playoff spot, thinks that they have enough of a chance for him to come and make a difference, says something. Also, I understand it from his point of view. He's an unrestricted free agent next season. You want to do everything you can to showcase your talents, and I think on a roster in Buffalo, he has more of that opportunity than he would have in New Jersey. From a trade standpoint, brilliant move by Jason Botterill, general manager of the Sabres. You ship out Connor Sheary to the Penguins, you replace him with a grittier player, essentially the same kind of production, and you get a different look from a guy who, Sheary wasn't fitting in the system the right way. And the best thing about Simmonds is I've hated him forever. And now that he's here, I love him. I am very excited to watch him in blue and gold for the next 20 games. And then
have you ordered the jersey yet?
I will be ordering the jersey after he does not sign next year in Buffalo, because I don't think that ends up getting done.
Oh.
But what I do love is that the general manager, Jason Botterill, did not tear things down like we talked about a couple of weeks ago. In fact, he put the Sabres in the position to make a run in the last 20 games. And let's sit back and see what happens.
Let's sit back and see what happens with the Warriors as Steph Curry is now coming back. Matt Trabold, they are 30 games under 500, and he's coming back to play tonight.
It's a little wild because I don't think it's a great move. Next year has so much more promise. Is it worth it? He came out in the media and said, I'm surprised he was so honest, that his hand's not back to normal. He might have to play forward with it not being normal. He just has to find a new normal with his hand. And when you're playing a sport that uses his hand so much, especially with his style of play, that's a big deal. I don't know if it's worth coming back to a team that's tens of games under 500 to maybe re-aggravate it. It's not like him coming back is all of a sudden going to get Klay Thompson healthy all of a sudden, and there's going to be a big record uptick. I don't know if it's worth it. I know it has to make him heated, that essentially this team goes from first to worst. His team, but still, I don't love it.
A lot to prove, though, with no, Kevin Durant, the fact that, you have a terrible record. The only guy back there is Draymond Green.
But that's why you don't do it, right? Because you still don't have the tools around you to make it work. Even with, you could have the core that you had a couple of years ago where you won the title before Durant shows up next season. And, I see flashes of players in the past, your Penny Hardaways, your Grant Hills, where you get this injury that alters the way you're able to play. You've always played the game. I get wanting to come back in the last 2 weeks to see if that hand can hold up during gameplay. But to play the rest of the season like this and potentially re-aggravate it, where, again, you're going to have another situation in Golden State next year if something goes wrong? No.
I don't know if this is a yes or a no, but I think it's a hard no on Madison Bumgarner. Like it or not, him going to a rodeo before the start of the Major League Baseball season for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Do you want your ace pitcher in a rodeo?
Do I want my ace pitcher in a rodeo? No. Do I want to watch an ace pitcher in a rodeo? 100%. I would buy tickets to watch him do this immediately.
He did it under an alias. This has got to be nerve-wracking, and he's got an injury history.
Absolutely. 2017, he gets in a dirt biking accident. During the season, has to miss time. That's a big deal. 5-year, $85 million might seem low for Madison Bumgarner, but for the Diamondbacks, which is a little bit of a smaller organization, that's the second biggest contract they've ever had. The GM maybe wants to hope this guy is jonesing from, hey, take a puzzles or something. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, but what are you going to do, right? You're going to tell him, you can't pitch for us if you don't stop doing this. Okay, I'll go sign for another. I'll take a $5 million cut and go, you have no leverage if you're the team. Look, Jordan, back in the day, loved playing basketball so much that in his contract, his final contract with the Bulls, he had a love of the game clause where the Bulls could not tell him that he could not play basketball. So whether it was in a park or in charity games or just in some gym in Chicago over the summer, he did what he wanted to do. Players have the leverage right now against the owners. Make him stop.
GM with a great line. Madison Bumgarner is a grown man. I love that. What better answer than that? Coming up next, Unfinished Business as we broadcast here from the Genny Brew House.
And now here's this week's MVP Experience Stat of the Week, brought to you by Sport Clips, where it's good to be a guy. No appointment ever needed.
When Girl Scout ingenuity meets Dunkin' Coffee, you get a cup of can-do. Girl Scout cookie-inspired flavors are at Dunkin'. Try Thin Mints and Coconut Caramel today. And get a medium latte or cappuccino for $2 from 2 to 6 p.m. America runs on Dunkin'.
Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box here at the Genny Brew House. This segment is, of course, sponsored by Dunkin'. America runs on Dunkin'. It's called Unfinished Business. Pat Duffy.
The name David Ayres is one you didn't know before last weekend, but if you're a hockey fan, you'll remember it forever. He's the facilities manager for the Toronto Marlies, the AHL affiliate of the Toronto Maple Leafs, who was thrust into action after the unthinkable 2 goalie injuries for the Carolina Hurricanes while they were playing against the Maple Leafs the other night in Toronto. This guy, who's 42 years old and is a beer league goalie, wins a game for the Carolina Hurricanes, which is amazing. But it's kind of a weird situation, because here's the thing. Not only does Ayres work for the Maple Leafs organization, essentially, he's a diehard Maple Leafs fan. He's a Canadian Ontario resident where Maple Leafs hockey is religion. That game that they played the other night was a playoff caliber game. Those teams needed points. It's possible that that loss by the Toronto Maple Leafs could keep them out of the playoffs, just that single game. I know it's great to have this moment. He was all over international television all week long, right? It's the greatest thing that'll personally ever happen to you. But what happens when a team that has 3 players, making over $10 million this season, misses the playoffs because a diehard fan stepped in goal in a fantasy situation and beat them? You have to pray that after what you did, if you're David Ayres, for the sake of all of your friends, for the sake of your sanity, the Leafs make the playoffs. Because if they don't, it's your fault.
So when I've been on this show in the past, this segment, I always go college hoops. It's going to continue again. A couple things sports fans, week after week this college basketball season, have been saying. Number 1, there are no good teams in college basketball. I think that's hyperbole. Number 2, something I like a lot more, is that almost 20 teams have a chance to win it all this season. Just something I love. Parity is something that is such a big part of college basketball. It's why people love it. It's why March Madness is such a big deal. That's why there's so much money around the NCAA tournament. This time around, I think the reason why there's no big front runners in college basketball, less of an emphasis this season for a number of reasons on the star freshmen. Even at Kentucky, where that's something that they thrive in for success. And you're seeing a junior Nick Richards, a graduate transfer from Bucknell, and Nate Sestina. They have big roles on the team. This trend this season really started early. The unfortunate situation with James Wiseman and the NCAA, really just a couple games into the season for the Memphis Tigers. He should really be playing right now. He could be star power for college basketball. He is not, unfortunately. I think, though, parity, I said it before, I'll say it again, this is the most parity-driven sport in the sporting world. That's why there's so much love around it. I think a little bit more parity is just going to make the NCAA tournament even better this year.
One great thing, I tell you, Wake Forest beating, an unranked Wake Forest beating Duke, 7th in the country at the time, just makes that tournament much more, enticing to watch, because that's what you could get on a Thursday afternoon. A lot of fun. One of the things I remember about high school basketball is the excitement of sectionals. It's going on right now. Some teams have already been eliminated. But one of the things that has become a tradition over the years, and it didn't start with J-Mac, but it has continued on, is letting some of the players who are either equipment managers or follow the team or want to be on the team or supporters of the team play in the last 2 minutes of either senior night or last week before the teams get to the sectionals. The moment is so big for them. I get goosebumps just watching them on social media, and I don't even live in the town. The way the kids celebrate with this individual, whoever they may be, and storm the court is a moment they're never going to forget, and now will last forever on the internet. This is what sports is about. Storming the court happens in college, but not everybody gets to do it in their own hometown and celebrate somebody who's been so passionate about the program. The reason why I get so emotional about this is their one opportunity. They've always wanted to put on a jersey. They've always wanted to make a shot. And now you see opposing teams helping those players actually score in those last moments. Everybody should rejoice, because everybody gets a chance to see that moment. Pat Duffy?
Oh, yeah.
Gotta love it?
Oh, I love it.
Okay.
Love it.
All right. I'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, I'll be here.
You'll have a New Jersey?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
What do you think this is, Tariq?
Matt, nice to meet you, my friend.
Thanks for having me on.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for those watching. This segment being brought to you by Dunkin'. America runs on Dunkin'. Thank you to the Genny Brew House for hosting, of course. See you next week on the Rochester Press Box.